1 is congruent to angle 4. Angle 4 and angle 5 form a linear pair, and we need to prove that angles 1 and 5 are supplementary. And we're given some of our statements and some of our reasons. So first statement here, we have angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. Reason for that is going to be given. First reason in any proof is always going to be given. Statement 2 is where we need to fill in, and we know the reason for it is definition of congruence. So definition of congruence tells us that we either change our congruent sign to an equal sign or our equal sign to a congruent sign. So in this case, I'm going to go from a congruent sign in statement 1 to saying that measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 4. Next, I need to fill in statement 3, and my reason for that is given. So I'm going to look up here. I already used angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. So it's going to be angle 4 and 5 form a linear pair. I'm going to shorthand this just because I'm running out of room. Next, we are looking at statement 4, which tells us that angle 4 and angle 5 are supplementary. So we want to look at the key words that change from statement 3 to statement 4. We went from stating that angles 4 and 5 formed a linear pair to stating that angles 4 and 5 were supplementary. So when we go from linear pair to supplementary, that's going to be our supplement theorem. Next, we have to fill in our statement for 5, and we know it's due to definition of supplementary angles. So definition of supplementary angles says we go from stating two angles are supplementary to their sum is 180, or vice versa, two angles sum is 180 to stating they are supplementary. So in this case, we know that 4 and 5 are supplementary. So we're going to switch that to say that the measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 5 equal 180 degrees. Next, we need to utilize substitution to change our statement. To figure out our statement for 6. So if we're trying to figure out that 1 and 5 are supplementary, that's the two angles we need that to be equaling 180 degrees. We already have angle 5 here, so we need to look to substitute for measure of angle 4. If we look back at statement 2, we know that measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 4, so therefore we can substitute measure of angle 1 in for measure of angle 4. So this becomes measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 5 equals 180 degrees due to substitution. So substituted measure of angle 1 in for measure of angle 4. And then the last statement, angles 1 and 5 are supplementary, and we need to figure out our reason. So in statement 6, we went from stating that angles 1 and 5 equal 180 degrees. We changed that to state that they're supplementary. So that is going to be definition of supplementary angles. I'm going to go ahead and go over one more example. Number 8. So given angles 1 and 2 form a linear pair, so these two angles here, and also measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 equals 180 degrees. And we need to prove that angles 1 and 3, those two here, are congruent. So statement 1, we have angles 1 and 2 form a linear pair. Our reason for that, always going to be given. We are always starting with our first statement given. Then we need to figure out statement 2, and that's going to be due to the supplement theorem. So supplement theorem tells us we go from knowing two angles form a linear pair to stating that two angles are supplementary. So since we know angles 1 and 2 form a linear pair, we know that angles 1 and 2 are supplementary. 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. Next, we need to fill in statement 3, and our reason is given. So we're going to look up above. We already used angles 1 and 2 form a linear pair. So this statement is going to be measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 equals 180 degrees. Next, I need my statement for 4. Oops. Statement for 4. So this is going to be due to definition of supplementary angles. In definition of supplementary angles, we go from stating two angles are supplementary to their sum is 180, or their sum being 180 to stating they're supplementary. So if we already have angles 2 and 3 summing to 180 degrees, we're going to change it to state the angle 2 and angle 3 are supplementary. And then lastly, we can go ahead and state that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, and we need to figure out that reason. So we're going to look up above where we see angle 1. I see that angle 1 is supplementary to angle 2. And then I'm going to also find angle 3 up above. I see that angle 3 is also supplementary to angle 2. So if two angles are supplementary to the same angle, we could state that they are congruent due to the congruent supplements theorem.